Okay, brethren, well, for our first message of the day, it's brought to us by Mr. Shawn Witt, entitled From Pain to Promise.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome, everyone, on this beautiful rainy day. We definitely can use the rain on this last day of unleavened bread. So here we are on the last day of So here we are on the last day of unleavened bread. Crazy to think how fast these days go by. It seems like we were just here celebrating the first day of unleavened bread this past Sunday. So as I was going through the week, I was thinking that we all have our individual story, a journey that we're going through with God. Just like the children of Israel had a story. We may not have come through physical Egypt and wandered through the desert for 40 years as they were facing their fears at every turn as they went through the wilderness. But we know that God had their back during all that time. But nonetheless, we have a story as well. And we have all had our Red Sea moments as well. In our personal journeys, there can be pain and suffering. God wants us to come out of our comfort zones because there is no real growth in a comfort zone. For example, even though the children of Israel were in bondage, it was all they had ever known their entire life, to be in that bondage in Egypt. But God sent Moses to rescue them. So let's go to Exodus 7. Verses 1 through 5. So the Lord said to Moses, "See, I have made you a god. I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall tell Pharaoh to send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh will not heed you, so that I may lay my hand on Egypt and bring my armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch out my hand on Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them." So God sent Moses with a mighty hand to rescue them. But God also had the children of Israel go through the first 3 plagues as well. So they had the Nile River turned to blood was the first plague. And then there was the plague of the frogs. And then following that was the plague of the lice. So they had to go through these plagues as well, as the Egyptians did. But, the Israelites had become comfortable in their discomfort, resigned to their circumstances. They'd have been in Egypt for over 400 years. Frankly, they were kind of used to what they were going through, even though they were suffering. And I feel that God had them go through these first plagues as well to break a pattern, to break a routine by turning up the heat on them to get them to actually want to leave Egypt. Because even though they were in their suffering, they'd become complacent with what their circumstances were. It could be easy for us to say, why would they be content with what they were experiencing? They were doing hard labor. They were in this day out and every day. But we are not exempt from this type of behavior either, being resigned to our discomfort in circumstances. I have a personal example I'd like to use. As many of you know, Kim and I and the kids, we moved from Utah back in 2011. We stepped out on faith. And interestingly enough, we actually arrived here on Independence Day of 2011. So I took off 2 weeks of vacation during that time. We were set out to move here. And I was certain, without a doubt, God is going to find a job for me. I'm going to have a job when I get to Oklahoma. But that was not God's plan for me. My family came here. We got them all set up in a place to live, and I had to go back. I didn't find a job. So his plan was for me to go back to Utah and work out some unresolved issues that I had. And before I could have my new start with my family in Oklahoma, I had to face these issues that God wanted me to work through. So I was there for 6 months, living in my parents' basement, and I actually became content in my circumstances there. I mean, my family was here. I missed them. But I was becoming comfortable in my discomfort and resigned to my new circumstances with minimal responsibilities. You know, my needs were being made, and frankly, I was becoming complacent. I didn't have a fire to change my circumstances and return to my proper place with my family because my needs were basically being taken care of. I was getting rides to church, so I didn't have to worry about having a car. I had mass transit taking me to work. Like I said, I got to hang out with my parents and enjoy my time with them, and it was good in a way as well because my dad had a surgery while I was there. So it was good to be with them, but I needed to be with my family, really. So after 6 months of being in Utah, on January the 13th is when I was going to come back. And I had 2 weeks of vacation again at that time, and I was going to find a job while I was here. So that was my goal, again, to find a job. The day before, just before quitting time, this was on January the 12th of 2012, just before the end of the day, it was around quitting time, my boss comes up to me, and he says, "Hey, you've been working on this special project. How's that coming?" And, you know, I was responsible for this project, and I'd been given misinformation regarding the project, and I hadn't followed through with what he wanted me to do. He became very angry with me. He came down on me. He's ex-military, and nothing wrong with that, but just adjusting into the private sector, he demanded quite a bit, and he had a strong presence, and so I kind of crumbled. I had a rough day. Like I said, it was at the end of the day, and it was just a crazy time. So long story short, this was by far my worst day I'd ever had in my 23 years of working at GE Healthcare. I ended up working until about 11 o'clock at night trying to get this resolved, and I missed out on a special dinner. My sister-in-law had made me this nice dinner. I was supposed to tell them my goodbyes and such, and then be heading out to go to Utah the next day. But more importantly, while I was having my worst day, it was Samuel's birthday. He was in Oklahoma, and Kim and the kids had gone to Incredible Pizza, and they're celebrating Samuel's birthday. He's turning 7 years old, and I was back here going through the drudgeries of trying to get caught up on the assignment that I was supposed to have completed and getting that all resolved. But God was pressing upon me that Utah was not my home. I wasn't supposed to be there. My home was with my family. Our home is not of this world. Our home is with God now and in his kingdom to come. So sometimes we must go through painful experiences to remind us to keep moving forward to the glorious future that God has promised for us. I'd like to turn to John chapter 16, verse 33. "These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulations, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." Jesus is our deliverer. He delivers us from our trials. We are laboring in this world now just like a mother who is actively in labor. Jesus, like a doctor, helps us through the laboring process. Let's go also now to John 16:21. A woman, when she is in labor, has sorrow, because her hour has come. But as soon as she has given birth to the child, she no longer remembers the anguish for joy that a human being has been born into the world. Very joyous time. What a beautiful verse that is. To know that there is joy at the end of our suffering. That God, even through the pain and suffering, once we are through it, there is a great reward to follow. You know, God made these days of unleavened bread to purposely take us out of our daily routines. It shakes us up, gets our focus on what it should be on, and that is ingesting Jesus into our life every single day. So it's important that we keep these days and we're taking in the bread of sincerity and truth and carry on with that even after the days of unleavened bread. As a reminder, when the children of Israel left Egypt, they had to focus on Jesus because their life depended on it. Their life was in his hands, just as it is for us as well. Our lives are in Jesus' hands. As was mentioned before, there is pain in childbirth, but Jesus is our deliverer. He will deliver us. Let's go now to Romans 8, verses 18. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. You know, no matter what we have been through in the past, or what we may currently be going through, or what we may face in the future before Christ returns, we must remain steadfast and stay close to him and not allow bitterness, complacency, or the pain of this world, of what we suffer through, to take us off our focus from him. Remember, this is not our home. We have a wonderful promise of a future to be with God the Father and our elder brother Jesus, free from the pain and suffering of this current age, for all eternity. In conclusion, I'd like to go to 1 Thessalonians 4:17. Then we, who are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and thus we shall always be with the Lord. What a glorious day that is going to be, which pales in comparison to our current pain and suffering of this world.